could you lie straight to my face after everything we've been through? I can't believe it.
You are not my driver. You are just the help. Do not touch me. The words slipped out of her mouth, thick and sharp. Carrying the sting of power, even while she could barely stand, the parking garage lights flickered over the hood of a black car, reflecting off puddles of rain and city grime. A black single father named Malcolm Hayes tightened his grip on the keys he should never have been holding. While his boss swayed beside him in a designer coat that smelled of expensive perfume and spilled champagne, he had planned to go straight home. His daughter was waiting with a babysitter he could barely afford. His phone had already buzzed twice with worried messages. But then he found her in the office lobby, alone, drunk, and trying to hide it behind anger. Her name was Vivian Cross. The CEO, the woman who signed checks, ended careers, and never apologized. She ran the company like a steel door that never opened unless it chose to. People feared her because she was brilliant. People hated her because she never softened. Malcolm had kept his head down since his first day because single fathers do not get to gamble with rent money. Tonight, Vivian's assistant had already left. The other executives had disappeared into black cars and quiet lives. Vivian stood by herself, pressing her phone to her ear, slurring into voicemail, pretending she was fine. Malcolm should have walked away. Instead, he asked if she was safe too. Drive. Vivian's eyes snapped toward him, glassy and furious. She told him to mind his place. She told him he was just an employee. She told him to stop acting like a hero. Malcolm didn't argue. He simply looked at the keys shaking in her hand and saw what would happen if she got behind the wheel. Crash. A headline. A life ruined. It's maybe more than one. So he made the hard choice that quiet people make all the time. He offered to drive her home. Vivian laughed, bitter and unsteady, then shoved the keys into his palm like she was punishing him for caring. She stumbled toward the passenger side and collapsed into the seat, breathing too fast, eyes half closed. Malcolm slid into the driver's seat with the careful posture of a man who had driven with precious cargo before. His daughter had fallen, asleep in that back seat 100 times. He knew what it meant to protect someone who couldn't protect themselves. The city rolled past in wet streaks of light. Vivian stared out the window, jaw tight, as if silence could hide the fact that her life had slipped off its rails tonight. Malcolm kept both hands on the wheel and kept his eyes forward. He did not ask questions. He did not judge. But he felt the weight of the moment anyway. Because power is strange when it becomes helpless. It turns cruel. It turns embarrassed. Turns honest in unpredictable ways. Halfway to her building, Vivian spoke again, her voice quieter now. The sharpness dulled by exhaustion. She asked him if he had kids. Malcolm answered simply. A daughter. 6 years old. Vivian made a sound that was almost a laugh and almost a sigh. She asked where the mother was. Malcolm didn't flinch, but the question landed on an old bruise. He said the mother was gone. He didn't say how. He didn't say the hospital smell still haunted him sometimes. He didn't say his daughter still asked questions. Malcolm couldn't answer without breaking. Vivian went silent for a long time after that. When they reached her building, it was not a mansion like Malcolm expected. It was a sleek high-rise with a doorman and glass doors, but inside her condo, it felt cold, clean, empty, the kind of place that looked perfect because no one lived in it deeply. Vivian struggled to stand. Malcolm offered his arm. She tried to pull away, pride fighting balance, but she leaned on him anyway. Her hand gripped his sleeve like it was a lifeline she hated needing. Inside, Vivian paused near a framed photo on a side table. The frame was turned slightly inward, like it had been moved and never fixed. Malcolm glanced at it and saw a little boy in a school uniform, smiling with a missing tooth. Vivian noticed his glance and stiffened. She told him not to look. Malcolm looked away. Immediately respectful, quiet, Vivian's eyes filled for a moment, so fast Malcolm almost thought he imagined it. Then she blinked hard and straightened. Rebuilding her armor piece by piece, she told him to leave. Malcolm left without a word. He drove home with his heart tight. Not with fear, but with a strange confusion. He had just seen the most powerful, Woman and his world become fragile for 5 minutes. He didn't know what to do with that. At home, his daughter Layla was asleep on the couch with a blanket twisted around her legs. Malcolm carried her to bed, feeling the warmth of her small body against his chest. He kissed her forehead and promised himself again that he would keep going, no matter how tired he got. The next morning, Malcolm arrived at work early, expecting consequences. In his experience, kindness toward power usually came back as punishment. He imagined Vivian humiliating him in front of staff, accusing him of overstepping, reminding him of his place. He rehearsed calm responses in his head. He prepared to swallow pride the way he always did, but when he walked into the office, the mood felt different. People whispered. Phones were out. Assistants moved with nervous energy. Someone said Vivian had called an emergency meeting. Malcolm's stomach dropped. He took his seat near the back of the conference room. Trying to make himself small, Vivian entered exactly on time. She looked flawless. Hair perfect, suit sharp, eyes clear, the same steel presence as always. No one would guess she had been barely standing 12 hours ago. She stood at the head of the table and let silence spread until every breath in the room belonged to her. Then, she looked directly at Malcolm. The room followed her gaze like a wave. Malcolm felt heat climb his neck. This was it, the public reminder. The punishment for crossing an invisible line. Vivian spoke slowly. She said she owed someone an apology. People blinked. I'm sure they heard right. Vivian said last night she was not fit to drive. She said one employee made sure she got home safely. She said that employee could have walked away. She said he didn't. Malcolm's hands tightened under the table. Vivian's voice stayed steady. But something in her tone had changed. Not softer or honest. She said she had spent years building a company that respected numbers more than people. She said she had praised performance and ignored character. And then she said the line that made the entire room go still. Last night, I learned the difference between power and decency. Malcolm stared, unable to blink. Vivian continued.
Ow.
She said Malcolm Hayes would be promoted effective immediately, not because of last night alone, but because she had reviewed his work, his consistency, his leadership, and the way he treated others without needing attention. She said the company would also start a family support program for single parents, including flexible hours and childcare assistance. Because talent shouldn't be punished for having a family. The room erupted into stunned murmurs. Malcolm sat. Frozen. Promotions did not happen to men like him, not quietly, not without politics, not without someone asking what he could offer in return. His mind searched for the trick. Vivian looked at him again, and for the first time, her expression held something close to gratitude. Then she said the sentence that left him speechless. I saw the photo on your desk. The little girl, you remind me of someone I lost, and I am done pretending I don't. Malcolm felt his throat tighten. Vivian cleared her throat, regaining her control, but the truth had already been spoken. She ended the meeting and walked out. The room buzzed with shock, but Malcolm remained still, like he was afraid movement would break the moment. Later, Vivian's assistant handed Malcolm a folder. Inside was the promotion letter, the salary increase, and a note written in clean, precise handwriting. Thank you for getting me home. Thank you for not treating me like a monster. And thank you for reminding me that I still have a heart. Malcolm held the note for a long time. That afternoon, picked up Layla from school earlier than usual. He watched her run toward him with a grin and a backpack bouncing on her shoulders. The sun was warm on his face. For the first time in a long time, he felt like he could breathe, because one quiet act of responsibility had changed more than a single night. It had changed a future. If this story moved you, comment where you're watching from and what you think. Vivian really saw Malcolm. Subscribe for more cinematic stories about dignity, sacrifice, and the moments that turn hardship into hope.